Another funding announcement for the electric vehicle industry today. Ontario and the federal government will invest in 2 General Motors plants. Each government will spend more than $250 million to produce more electric vehicles. Here's what Premier Doug Ford had to say.
It's amazing what can be done when the community is involved, the municipality, the provincial government, federal government, the union, be it Unifor. We are unstoppable, folks, when we work together.
The federal government says 1/5 of all electric vehicles sold must be zero emissions by 2025. How will today's investment affect that timeline? François-Philippe Champagne is the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry. He's in Toronto. So, Minister, we are seeing you make announcement after announcement about electric vehicles. If they are in such high demand, and we know that they are, why does so much federal money need to be invested in building them?
Well, I think what you saw today, we saw GM investing $2 billion in the auto sector in Canada, creating 2,600 new jobs. I'd say to that, Catherine, I kept saying that government have to be in the mix. This is true in Canada. It's true in the United States. It's true in Germany and France and the United Kingdom. But if you look at the return on investments for Canadians, we get a pretty good return because we put $259 million. They put $2 billion, and they're going to invest hundreds of millions in research and development. So I'd say when you secure jobs like that in the auto sector for 20, 30 years, we get a good deal. And certainly we want to lead in the green industrial transformation. And that's what you're seeing happening right here in Canada.
Okay, I'm gonna poke you a little bit about that one, because the last time you were on this program, I know you were being asked about how much money you were investing in the electric vehicle project in Windsor, and you couldn't say. And then a Liberal MP tweeted out that it was about $500 million. So I'm wondering if you can just let us know, like, why can't you just tell taxpayers? You did with regards to the announcement today. Why can't you just be more transparent about where tax dollars are going on projects like these, particularly?
Well, listen,
Go ahead.
No, please go ahead. No, I always want to be transparent. I mean, Canadians are entitled to know where their tax dollars are going, and actually they're going a long way in these investments. Last time, it's because we were finalizing. We're in the final stage of negotiations. What I can say to you and all Canadians watching, it's going to be proportional. You saw today $259 million for a $2 billion deal. You can make a proportion, and it would give you a sense of what we had to put in the last deal in Windsor, where we got $5 billion. But what you need to also take into account is when you take into account the jobs that are being created, the salaries that are going to be paid for 20, 30 years, everything that's going to be required by the plant, we're getting a good deal there. And you've seen it because we've been able to attract that. And if we were not part of the equation, Catherine, these investments would go south. We've been fighting very hard to make sure that we get our fair share of investment in the electric vehicle in Canada. And that's what you're seeing happening right now.
Okay, so there's the investment in the sector, but the other side of this is obviously the consumer side, people who are looking to buy electric vehicles. I want to know what the plans are vis-a-vis the actual infrastructure, the charging stations, because I know you've set very ambitious targets, more ambitious than the United States, but you have groups like the Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association saying you can't achieve higher adoption levels without stronger consumer incentives and without stronger charging infrastructure. So the budget is coming. Should we expect more money to promote that?
Well, we understand the equation. You need to play both on the supply and demand. Now, in terms of the supply, we'll make sure that these cars are manufactured right here in Canada. On the demand side, you're clear. You said clearly we need to have more charging stations across the country. We need to maintain the incentive. That's the balance we need to have to meet our targets, which are fairly aggressive. But I think now that there'll be more supply, more diversity of vehicle, that Canadians will see that they're made here in Canada, that we are clearly doing that transition, towards the electric vehicle. I am very optimistic about that, and we will continue. We need to make sure we build more charging stations, that the incentives are there for Canadians to adopt electric vehicle.
You say we need to make sure that we build more. Is that a federal responsibility? Are you counting on the provinces and territories to do that? Who's going to make sure?
Well, we certainly have a role to play, but I would say the province, the municipalities, individuals, companies. We've seen a number of companies decided to install charging station. I've seen that also in colleges and universities across the country. So we all need to do our part if we want to lead in the green industrial transformation. We need to have these charging stations. We need to have these incentives. And this is very much part of the package when we look at the more aggressive EV mandates that we have put in place in Canada. But the good thing, Catherine, you see that it's generating investments. We've seen Honda, we've seen GM now. We add investment with respect to BASF in parts of the cathode, which go in the battery. We saw GM POSCO, and there's more to come. I will be relentless to make sure that we lead in the green industrial transformation. And these are good jobs which come with a lot of research and development, innovation. And if there's a place where Canada can lead, it's clearly in that sector.
I know you're talking about being relentless on this. I saw one of the pictures from the photo op today of you with Doug Ford's government, and you're all in the back of a pickup truck with your thumbs up. But I wonder, it was interesting seeing you on the same stage today. Your government has just raised the carbon tax. You have Doug Ford's government dropping some of the taxes on gas and fuel. Aren't you folks just working against each other in that instance?
No, you should have us getting in the truck. That was even more interesting. But I would say, no, I mean, you know, when I'm with Doug Ford on the stage, it's all about jobs. It's all about growth. It's all about making sure that we get our fair share of investment when it comes to the auto sector to build a more resilient auto sector for decades to come. We've been working hand in hand to attract these mandates, to attract these very significant investment. And, you know, what I often say to Canadians is that, you know, we need to seize the moment and be ambitious, because decisions that are being made now with respect to where these plants are going to be will have an impact on our sector for generations to come. So if you don't lend them now, you're not going to get them for probably 20 years. So that's why I've been relentless. I've been working with colleagues both in Quebec and in Ontario to make sure they land in Canada.
I don't question your relentlessness, Minister Champagne, but I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you not at cross purposes with the Ford government when it comes to the price of gas?
Well, I mean, what I focus on when I'm with Doug Ford is about jobs, it's growth, and it's about making sure that we get our fair share of investment in the auto sector. And we will continue to do that, because my job, you know, Catherine, is to prepare Canada's economy for the 21st century. And when I talk to provincial premiers, it's always about making sure that we get more jobs, more growth, more investments in our country. And today is a good example of that.
Okay. Thank you for your time today, Minister. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.